Hey guys, what's going on? It's Rekt Capital. Welcome back to the Rekt Capital channel here on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining me in today's video. We're going to be talking about the macro downtrend line because we have a new month, and with this new month, new monthly candle means that we are moving horizontally towards getting closer to the macro downtrend. So lots of interesting insights now that we know where this new monthly candle has formed. Lots of interesting insights to talk about in today's video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like the video if you enjoy content like this, and let's dive right in. So what's interesting about this current monthly candle here is that it's getting closer to the macro downtrend line, because if we just zoom in here, we will notice that this January candle really outperformed. It engulfed the previous 4 months worth of price action, and if it even closed beyond 23,400, it would have engulfed the past half a year worth of price action. But it still had a ways to go in challenging the macro downtrend line. But now that the February monthly close is in, this is now a much easier task to achieve for Bitcoin. And because of this slanting downtrending nature of this trend line, it's going to be easier and easier and easier to break this downtrend line as time goes on. So we'll be talking about the price points in a bit more detail in just a moment, but I just want to focus on the candle prior to the breakout. And what does a breakout candle actually look like? So if we just look to previous cycles here, this monthly candle prior to the breakout is still a relatively strong candle compared to this candle here where we don't have much volatility. It's only once we see a monthly candle close or an open of that new monthly candle that we see a breakout or a monthly close beyond the trend line, where we see the greatest volatility, where that new macro uptrend emerges afterwards, as we see over here. So the month prior to the macro downtrend breakout is still a green month, but we can see that sometimes it's not much of an interesting month. Sometimes it's definitely one to pay attention to, but generally the most or the quickest trend continuation and that acceleration in the new macro uptrend is when we see either the monthly close occur beyond the trend line or open at the trend line and then move forward. So this monthly candle right over here prior to the macro downtrend breakout really is where I think we might be right now, because we've seen a fantastic move. And now Bitcoin is hovering below this macro trend line, but it doesn't have that much room to really move towards the upside without breaking it out. So let's just have a look here. In January, 28K is where that macro downtrend break would occur. Now that we're in February, 26.5 is where the macro downtrend could break. But what I'm trying to suggest here is that based on history, Bitcoin won't break out this February. It could overextend to as high as 26.5. And then when we see a new March monthly candle, depending on where we are really, where we're situated, if we're, for instance, at this trend line going into March, then the new monthly candle close would occur here, right? It would occur beyond suddenly the macro downtrend, and now we're going to be entering that new macro uptrend, and we'd see some acceleration in March. But let's say that we are going to continue hovering here, just like we did prior to that 2019 move, where things were not too volatile. It was still a green month, but a small monthly candle nonetheless, kind of just maintaining the highs, hovering below this macro downtrend. We could see this, and if we do see this, then that new monthly candle in March would see this price point of the macro downtrend represent 24.5K, and if we just maintain these highs, then we'd probably see that monthly candle in March form something like this. So just based on the previous candles of the breakout candles in the macro downtrend, if we get a monthly candle in March like this, then that still might not necessarily mean we'll break out, because what has happened, what has facilitated breakouts is either a monthly candle close above the trend line or on the trend line, opening and then rallying towards the upside. So it really does depend, because there is a scenario where we could even form a monthly bull flag here underneath this macro downtrend and only break out in March or maybe even in April, where April would represent 23,400, which is actually really this current resistance that Bitcoin is currently struggling with. So really interesting to see what we could see going forward from Bitcoin. At the moment, monthly bull flag here would be an interesting option, but generally speaking, as time goes on, it's going to be easier to break out, and I'm thinking that a breakout could take place in March or at the latest in April, because also history suggests that to us, because right over here, prior to this halving, it took a year prior to the halving for Bitcoin to break out here, 396 days for Bitcoin to break out here prior to the halving, and we're currently 425 days prior to the halving right now. This February, we would be 396 days in March, which now then enters this historical time range, right? In March, we'd see this sort of history repeating potentially, and in April it would be this. So 396 days start in March, and then 366 days are in April. So around this time really is when we should, historically speaking at least, see a breakout beyond this macro downtrend line. So right now, with 425 days to the halving, and especially talking about those historical tendencies where that monthly candle continues to remain below the macro downtrend line in preparation for the breakout, it looks like February might just be a month where we're just maybe consolidating, maybe moving a little bit higher, but maintaining the highs in preparation for that massive breakout. And that breakout could happen as early as March, or it could happen a little later in April, but nonetheless, end of Q1, beginning of Q2 is when we should really start to see trend acceleration towards the upside from Bitcoin. So lots to look forward to. Thank you so much for watching today. That's about it for this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like the video if you'd like to see more content like this going forward. But of course, sign up to the Rekt Capital newsletter. The price is going up in only a few days, so feel free to lock in your rate, your early bird rate right now. It's worth it. In any case, thanks so much. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.